Hello students, we are going to discuss class 9 general science chapter 3 atoms and molecules. So here the introductions. Actually atoms, it is the smallest particles, and the molecules means combined form of atoms. So it is written here in Greek and in ancient India, and the Greek philosopher, they were always worried about the unknown and unseen form of matters. But the idea of the divisibility of matter was considered long back in India around 500 BC. So it was Indian philosopher named as Maharishi Kanat. He postulated that if we go dividing matters, that is padarth, we shall get smaller and smaller particle. Ultimately, a time will come when we shall come across the smallest particle, beyond which further division will not be possible. So this smallest particle he named as Paramanu. Again another Indian philosopher, Pakuda Katya Yamna, elaborated this doctrine and said that this particle normally exists in combined form, which give us various form of matter. Just what's saying here is that in ancient philosopher, Indian philosopher Maharishi Kanat says that if a particle, whatever it may be, if we talk about a stone, piece of stone, then if we divide equally, isn't it, into two half, again this particle when we divide into two half, again this particle dividing into two half, final dividing, then at a stage will come that one particle will be there which does not be divided, and this undivided particle is called Paramanu. Okay, Paramanu, which means single form of particles. Again around the same era, that means during the same times, ancient Greek philosopher also named as Democritus and Leucippus suggests that if we go on dividing matter, a stage will come when particles of 10 cannot be divided further. So Democritus called this indivisible particle atoms, meaning indivisible or undivided. All this was based on the philosophical consideration and not experimentally proved or not experimentally valid that time. Okay, till this was up to 18th century, this was just a hypothetical and not as experimental. So from the Greek philosopher as well as from the Indian philosopher, they will come to the same point that when matter are finally get divided up to a certain small point, and that small point which is indivisible, and that indivisible particle is known as Paramanu or atom. But by the end of the 18th century, scientists recognized the difference between the elements and compounds and naturally become interested in finding out how and why elements combine and what happens when they combine. So after 18th or at the end of the 18th century, scientists will recognize different elements and their compound form. Okay, and how they were combined or how they will bind each other, they will found. So Anthony L. Lavoisier laid the foundation of chemical science by establishing the important law of chemical combinations. So at the end of the 18th century, Anthony L. Lavoisier, he found the important law of chemical combination. Actually there are two important law of chemical combinations. Okay, so this law of chemical combination, these two law of chemical combination are experimented by the Lavoisier and Joseph L. Proust. Okay, two scientists. So first one is law of law of conservation of mass. So the law of conservation of mass, it is written here: is there a change in mass when a chemical change or chemical reaction take place? Now, to understand the law of chemical conservation of mass, we have to do the activity 3.1. So dear students, we will just I will trying to explain the concept. Okay, you have to take chemicals in the column X and Y given some chemical copper sulfate and sodium sulfate, or barium chloride and sodium sulfate, lead nitrate or sodium chloride. You have to take two chemicals from X and Y. Okay, either 1, 2, 3, any one. So it is written here: prepare separately a 5% solution of any one pair of substance listed under X and Y in water. You have to make either X or Y, any one, 5% of the solution, and X and Y in water. So either you have to take this one, copper sulfate solution 5% and sodium carbonate 5%. Okay, in water. And now take a little amount of sodium, a solution of Y in a conical flask, and some solution of X in an ignition tube. Now you have to take a ignition tube, a small tube which can be ignited. We can, okay. So ignited tube means actually it is a type of tube which can be also be burned. Very small tube. So you have to take, whether it may be copper sulfate and sodium carbonate, then this one you have to take Y solution, solution, a copper sulfate solution in ignition tube, okay, and sodium carbonate in the conical flask. I will show you here in the diagram. So this is your ignition tubes. In the ignition tube you will take solution of Y, solution of X, it may be copper sulfate or barium chloride or lead nitrate, and in the conical flask you have to take a little or solution from the Y, sodium carbonate or sodium sulfate or sodium chloride. Okay, now you have to tight the ignition tube and hang it. After that you have to insert the ignition tube under the conical flask. After that, tight the mouth with a cork. Okay, when you put a cork in a conical flask, that means we should close the mouth. Then after that you have to weight this apparatus. That means you have to weight the conical flask along with this solution Y, solution X in the ignition tube. Okay, after weighing their record, again when we mix by inclining, when we mix these solutions of the ignition tube and the conical flask, when we mix, then a reaction will occur, some gases will involve, isn't it? So after the reactions, again when we weight, okay, we have to weight it. Then it is found that before reaction, when we weight the conical flask along with the ignition tube, the weight whatever it may be, same as that after when we mix the two solution X and Y. Then after reaction, when we weigh, then the weighting will be same. So there is, it is written here: law of conservation of mass state that mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. That means before mixing the two solution X and Y in a conical flask, the weight will be, whatever the weight will be, same after the reaction. That means mixing the two solution inside the conical flask. Okay, that's why it is stated mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Why? Because the masses are same before and after the reaction. Now the second law, law of constant proportion. So law of constant proportion is actually when the compounds are formed or when the molecules are formed, then the elements may combine each other. It may be two elements or more than two elements are combined each other and form the compound. Okay, and that compounds are in the definite proportion. Okay, in the definite ratio. So it is written as for example, compounds such as water. When the water is formed, then water, they have the ratio of the mass of hydrogen to the mass of oxygen. Their ratio is 1:8. So here we are trying to understand with this. So when water will form, water will take two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom combine together and will form water molecule H2O. Okay, so if we consider the mass of hydrogen, then mass of one hydrogen atom will be 1 gram or 1 unified mass. You can write U. Mass of oxygen will be 16 gram or 16 U. Molecular mass means 16 gram. So when we look the hydrogen water form will be, there will be 2 hydrogen is to 1 oxygen. Okay, so 2 into hydrogen means weight of hydrogen or mass of hydrogen 1 into oxygen is 16. So when it will be 2:16. So when we cancel the ratio, then 2 1 are 2, 2 into 8 are 16. So their ratio are in the form of 1:8. Okay, so hydrogen is to oxygen in the ratio 1:8. So it is written here, thus if 9 gram of water is decomposed, so if 9 gram of water decomposed, then 1 gram of what? There will be hydrogen and 8 gram of oxygen are obtained there. Similarly, when ammonia or will form, so ammonia formula is NH3. Okay, so nitrogen and hydrogen are always present in the ratio 14:3. So nitrogen atomic mass 14, hydrogen atomic mass is 1, so 3 hydrogen is there, so it is 14:3. Okay, so this lead to the law of constant proportion, which is always also known as the law of definite proportionality. So when the molecules are formed, they have the constant proportion or definite proportion. So the law states as, in a chemical substance, the elements are always present in a definite proportion by mass. Their mass have indefinite proportion. When ammonia form NH3, then 14:3 ratio. When water will form, then 1:8 indefinite ratio. Their mass should be indefinite ratio. Okay. So after this, the next problem faced by the scientists was to give appropriate explanation of this law. So these laws as given but could not be given the appropriate explanation. So British chemist John Dalton provided the basic theory about the nature of the matters. So after that, John Dalton came and he postulated some theories, whose theory is known and named as atomic theory. We'll get later on. So Dalton picked up the idea of divisibility of matters, which was till then just a philosophy. So Dalton again chose that matters divisibility, as earlier says that Greek philosopher as well as Indian philosopher said that all the matters are divisible and they are finally come at a point where they does not divisible, and that is the smallest particle, which is known as atom, isn't it? So Dalton also named it as atom. Okay, so actually atom means by Greek it is said that smallest particle of matter, it's the atom. So Dalton or his theory was based on the law of chemical combination. Dalton postulates some theory whose theory was based on what? Chemical combination, law of chemical combination. That means there are two law of chemical combination: law of conservation of mass and law of constant proportionality. So here students, we will get an idea about the John Dalton. So John Dalton was born in a poor weaver family in 1766 in England. He began his career as a teacher at the ages of the 12. Very early ages he was a teacher. Okay, 7 years later he became a school principal. In 1793 Dalton left for Manchester to teach mathematics and physics and chemistry in college. After principal, he became the professor also, lecturer, and he spent most of his life there teaching and researching. In 1808, he presented his atomic theory, which was a turning point of the study of matter. So at the end point, he discovered atomic theory. So students, look here. According to Dalton's atomic theory, what is written here? All the matters, whether an element, a compound, or a mixture, is composed of small particles called atoms. So according to atomic theory of Dalton's, matters, whether they are formed by an element or compounds or a mixture, they will compose of a smallest particle, that is called made up of atom. That means matter are made up of atom according to Dalton. So there are some postulates about his atomic theory. That postulates are: number one, all matters is made of a very small teeny particles called the atoms. So matters are made up of small particles called atoms. Atoms are indivisible particles which cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. So according to the Dalton's, smallest particle, that is the atom, and that atom cannot be destroyed or created, okay, and cannot be divided further. Again, number three is atom of a given elements are identical in mass and chemical property. So their atoms of given element, whatever the elements may, their mass will be identical and chemical properties should be identical. Atoms of different elements have different mass and chemical properties. So different elements have different mass. Example, chlorine, example, iodine, example, oxygen. They have the different elements, so their masses are different and their chemical properties are also different. Atom combines in the ratio of smallest whole number to form compound. So that is the law of definite proportionality. Example, when water will form compound water, then hydrogen and oxygen atom have their ratio in the whole number 1:8. The relative number and kinds of atoms are constant in a given compound. Okay, whatever the number of atoms and the kinds of atoms are there, they are in the constant form. So this is the now in the next we will study about the what is called atom, definition of atom. Okay.